Hey, I see so many people who have just graduated from an architecture school and their priority is like to get licensed ASAP. As if it's like some sort of race. Like, I want to be the first one in my class to get licensed, or like, I want to be licensed before I turn 23, or something like that. But in my experience, I would advise on not jumping on this path, on this path of like, I want to be licensed ASAP, and this video explains why. But before I explain my perspectives, let's first make sure we're all on the same page in terms of what it takes to become a licensed architect in the US. This is like a 2-minute summary of how to become a licensed architect. I promise it won't be long. So generally speaking, in the US, getting an architecture licensure involves accumulating almost 4,000 hours of experience and passing 6 architecture registration exams, or AREs, each costing a little under $250. And when you combine all 6 exams together, that totals to almost $1,500. And on top of that, there are all these like miscellaneous fees that you have to pay, like NCARB application fee, like NCARB renewal fee, record transmittal fee, processing fee, etc., etc. Freaking A, like these organizations, they know how little architects make, and they've built like this system where they're just like sucking every drop out of all these poor architects. But anyway, so once you have a degree, you have the experience, and you have passed the exams, and have paid all the crazy number of fees, we're still not done yet. And then you have to cross-check with state requirements, whichever state you want to be licensed in. And once you have confirmed all their requirements and check off all the boxes, then you're eligible to apply for a licensure, which also comes with separate fees in addition to all those other fees I had mentioned earlier. So just expect to spend a lot of money, okay? But I would say that the biggest part of this whole process is passing the 6 exams. Education part, you just need to graduate from the right program. Experience part, you will need to check off, you will be able to check off all the hours as long as you're working under the supervision of a licensed architect. And the fee part, just ask your mom. No, I'm just kidding. You just have to save a little bit here and there, okay? But the exam part, you need to be proactive about carving out the time and actually dedicate it for studying. So the question of why you should reconsider getting licensed so quickly could in some ways mean why you should reconsider passing all the exams so quickly, okay? But if you paid attention in your professional practice class in your architecture school, I assume you all already know this. But if you still want to be licensed ASAP, that's fine. But here are the new architect's perspectives that you might want to consider before you jump to studying for your exams, all right? Okay, so the primary question to ask yourself is whether you have interesting opportunities right now that require a lot of time commitment. Now, this may be a competition, it may be an RFP, a critical project deadline, a really important presentation, or something else, right? But an opportunity that is time sensitive. An opportunity that is specific to now. One thing you need to know about getting licensed or taking the exams is that it's always available, right? Whether you want to take it this month, or in 2 years, or in 10 years, the option is always there. But the current opportunities that I was referencing earlier, you might not have those opportunities anytime soon. You just don't know, right? For me, this was a big factor of why I pushed off studying for the exams. I was put on some really interesting projects that I wanted to go all in on, and being a horrible multitasker that I am, I just didn't see myself being able to tackle both the project ambitions while pursuing the licensure track, right? So I invested in the project, and that got me the exposure to many different project types, clients, geographies, all of which you don't learn about by studying for the AREs. Plus, I was able to through this process, I was able to prove myself, prove my value to the firm, which led to recognition within the firm. Now, it may be very possible that you are super smart or really efficient with time, or both, that you can both go all in on whatever the interesting opportunity you might have while pursuing the licensure track. And if that's you, great. I envy you, and you should start a YouTube channel. But in my case, I'm neither super smart nor efficient with time, so I was not able to double task these two things at once. So for me, I focused on more of these other opportunities that I thought was more valuable at that time. The other consideration you might want to think about is that the things you learn from studying for the AREs, you actually learn them while working. Hopefully, of course. And of course, you don't learn everything, but I would say many things you can learn while working. So, in theory, the more experience you have, the easier the AREs will get, given that you're at a firm that cares about your professional growth, and let's say that you're at a firm that is not so specialized. And if you're at one of these firms, you're basically in a work environment where you're naturally being exposed to many facets of the practice and the projects, which is great, right? You just learn while getting paid, while working on projects. And for me, I guess it wasn't until I had 7 to 8 years of experience that I started to think about taking the AREs. And at that point, I had gone through all phases of a typical architecture process. So when I started to take the exam, the amount of time I spent on studying for the exams was far less than what a lot of my colleagues had spent, because many of them took the exam early in their career. I would say the most I studied for a single ARE exam, or ARE, was 3 weekends, give or take, so 6 days. And I'll share my tips on taking the AREs on another video, okay?
Need some more water?
The last consideration is to ask why you're trying to get licensed so quickly. Now, I'll elaborate on this next video, but usually people want to get licensed ASAP either because they want to start their own practice or they want to get paid more. Well, if you want to start your own practice, start your own practice. Done. If you want to start your own architecture practice, having just a few years of experience just isn't enough to deliver a quality project, and in my opinion, you would be doing a disservice to the client and the rest of the profession. It's a disservice to the client because you don't really know what you're talking about just with a few years of experience. And it's a disservice to your profession because you probably cut your fee so low to get the project, and now the client probably thinks that that's the norm for the profession, right? Now again, this is a general statement. If you're an exception, and of course there could be exception, great, you should start a YouTube channel. But anyway, now, if you are trying to get licensed to get paid more, I think that's the wrong attitude to have when you're asking for a raise, right? For one, becoming a licensed architect won't necessarily get you more salary. And for two, you asking for a raise should be based on your performance and your contribution to the firm, to the project, not on a title. So if you're able to supplement your case with the fact that you're also licensed, right, on top of all these other contribution to the project and the firm, then that's perfectly fine and it's great, right? But your main reason for asking for a raise should not be because I am now licensed architect. This applies to not just architecture licensure, but also other accreditation, in my opinion. And yes, some firms require that you become licensed to be able to hit a certain threshold position within the firm. But the chances are that that's not going to be the only factor they're going to be looking at, and it's not going to be the main factor. And some people might also say that, the AIA stats, show a correlation between, licensed professionals getting paid more than the non-licensed professionals. But I would say that correlation doesn't always mean causation, right? So keep that in mind. So in summary, put yourself in an environment that supports employees' professional growth and focus on bringing value to the team, the project, and the firm. By doing so, naturally, you'll find yourself to have accumulated the body of knowledge and skills to make the licensure process a lot easier than what they seem to be. Ultimately, I think architecture licensure is overrated, and I hope people, especially those early in their career, won't put so much importance on getting it so quickly. But let me caveat that, okay? Now, this is that segue to my next video, okay? I think it's still important to get licensed, but just think about the bigger picture and don't do it just for the sake of getting licensed. So the next video will cover what these bigger picture thinking might entail as it relates to becoming a licensed architect. The situations where getting a licensure does become critical. So check back in a few days for an update. And as always, any questions, feel free to leave below, all right? Thanks.